Hi, good afternoon. My name is Anthony Esquivel. I'm with a company called South Texas Strong Movers, and today we're going to be talking about licensing, insurance, and bonding. These are basically three real critical things when you're dealing with the household moving industry or services. Myself, I work with a company called South Texas Strong Movers, and we like to go over basically just some information about these three topics and explain a little more the importance of them and basically knowing your rights. My personal experience with moving has always been great because I've always really dug in, beforehand at least, about these three questions. You know, I always felt asking questions was the most important thing to do. There's never a limit to how many questions you can ask a company, pretty much anything. The best thing to know is that you always want to research. Researching is very important. Find out as much as you can about a company, find out who they are, where they're from, how many years they've been in business. And like I said, essentially you just really want to just dig deeper. The basic point, like I said, of asking questions is if you don't ask, they won't tell you. Most companies are like that. You say something like how much insurance or how long you've been in business, and they'll say, you know, well, we have a license. You need to ask them specifically, well, how many years have you been in business? Really, most companies are like this, not just the moving industry, the cleaning services. Pretty much any industry is always about, if you don't ask, they're not going to tell you. First thing we'll go over is basic licensing. Licensing is basically a way to regulate companies to make sure they're legal entities. What do you want to look for in licensing? Definitely something on paper, something with proof that you can touch and see. You want to make sure they have a business license name, they have some type of emblem from the city that they're dealing with, and they have some basic information about the company. Other places like TxDOT and US.dot regulate the trucks. The trucks basically have numbers on the side of them, and those truck numbers really identify who owns the truck, whether the truck has insurance, and whether it's legal or not for them to be driving on the road. TxDOT right here basically means they're able to drive in Texas, and US.dot basically says they're able to drive anywhere in the United States. Most major carriers, such as 18-wheelers, typically have US.dot licenses because they deliver from Texas to, let's say, New York. So you want to make sure they have a US.dot number. If you're moving furniture from Texas to New York, they need a US.dot number, not just a TxDOT number. The licensing goes all the way down to the roots, basically, where you have to call the city itself and find out, you know, to make sure this company is actually legit. Find out how many years they've been in business. Just because you ask a company how many years they've been in business and they tell you 2 years doesn't mean you believe them. Make sure you call, find out, you know, get some information about them. You know, learn a little bit more about the company before you let somebody into your house. In the household moving industry, that's basically what you're doing. You're inviting a stranger into your home for a little while to help you move this furniture from point A to point B. And you want to be really aware of who they are as much as you can. Our next topic basically is going to be the insurance portion of this question and these topics. You know, we're going to go over the types of coverage, the importance of this coverage, and you know, basically we're going to roll into bonding, which is kind of a mix of the two. Insurance deals with two things: property insurance or general liability insurance, and commercial insurance. Commercial insurance is extremely important. If you have someone moving your furniture and the truck rolls, basically what's going to happen is you're going to lose all your stuff if they're not covered. You want to ask how much they're covered for, you want to ask what their minimum liability is, you want to ask if there's any extra charges to get basic or larger coverage. Many times our company basically covers the minimum liability, so regardless you don't have to purchase anything extra. Companies such as U-Haul, U-Haul.com, if you've been there before, U-Haul provides this service for $28. This insurance basically covers you up to $50,000, and for I believe $48, U-Haul is willing to cover you up to $1 million in case something happens, in case of a lawsuit or something like that. Talking about personal injury, talking about general liability, personal injury is going to protect you in case someone breaks their leg on your property. They're walking down the way and they're carrying a cabinet and they trip on a rock and break their leg. Well, you know what? They feel you're responsible because that rock was in the wrong spot. Well, this company should be able to, the company you hired should be able to actually protect you against that type of, I would say in that sense, frivolous lawsuit. They do happen, so you have to be very aware of that. Let's dig deeper. Let's find out, when you call that company, find out and make sure you know how much they're covered for, who they're covered by, and how long they've been covered for. Like I said before, just because you call a company and say, hey, do you have insurance, and they say yes, that's not the right way to approach something. You need to find out a lot more information. Okay, now our next one is going to be basically bonding. Shown by a little guy here. He's basically ripping someone's stuff off. Basically, bonding is just considering your valuables. Bonding is going to protect your stuff. And in bonding, the most important question to ask is, what's your maximum coverage? Bonding is basically in case something gets stolen, the company is secured, has money secured, so that you can sue against the bond in case the company decides to go upside down after you decide to make a claim. Bonding basically protects your valuables only up to the maximum that they provide. Many companies only have about $500 of bonding. So say you have a really good laptop and they steal it, and you're like, you know what, the company decides, you know what, we're not going to pay it because we don't feel we stole it. You can sue the bond, and after a little bit of investigation, they'll pay you back. But they're only going to pay you the maximum. So remember, they're only going to give you $500. Find out about who they're bonding with, find out the maximum coverage. If it's not for your type of family or household or move, go with a different moving company. Many moving companies provide up to $10,000 worth of coverage. Bonding is, I'll be honest, bonding is a hard thing to do. A bond is a hard thing to sue because it has to be a proper investigation. But if it does come down to it, they will pay out. And it is protected, like I said, by the state. Once again, with bonding too, like with insurance and just like with the licensing, always have that paper proof. Make sure it's not them just saying they have bonding. Make sure you have documentation supporting that type of information. In the end, basically all this combines, in the fact that reputation does matter. Reputation is very important because with reputation, it's going to tell you about the company before you even meet them. Reputation basically means, people telling you who's a good company, going online to the websites such as www.betterbusinessbureau.com and finding out some information. Like I said, ask around, find out who the best company is. People like the Better Business Bureau will give you information about companies. Typically, it's always negative information, which is not a good way to look at a company, but it's good to find out the bad side of a company. Typically, when people go to the Better Business Bureau, they're really trying to find out the bad. If somebody has one or two reviews that discourage you, call the company anyways and find out a little more information, find out if it was resolved, find out the situation, and then go forward from there. In the end, like I said, the reputation of the company itself is very important. So I recommend that if you do get a company, make sure they're highly known. I do thank you for your time, and I hope you learned a little more about licensing, insurance, and bonding. And I hope that this information will take you somewhere and keep you safe, and I wish you luck on your next move. Thank you so much. Hold on.
Here you go, Tony.
Thank you.
I'll show you something.